Viking culture. Welcome to a fascinating journey back in time. As we delve into the daily life of the Vikings, a society infamous for their fearsome warriors, the Vikings were much more than just seafaring invaders. They had a rich and vibrant culture that still captivates us today. First, let's talk about their clothing. Vikings, contrary to the popular imagery, weren't draped in furs all the time. Their everyday attire consisted of woolen or linen tunics, trousers and cloaks. Women wore long dresses, often adorned with metal brooches and beads. What's interesting to note is that their clothing wasn't just functional, it also signaled their status. The wealthier Vikings wore brightly colored clothes, dyed using expensive natural resources. The poor, on the other hand, wore simple undyed clothing. Now, let's move on to the Viking diet. Their food, much like their clothing, was largely dictated by their environment. They were farmers, hunters, and fishers. They consumed a lot of meat, fish, and bread. Vegetables, fruits, and dairy products were also staples in their diet. Vikings loved their beer and mead, and these beverages were an integral part of their feasts. They also had a sweet tooth, with honey being a common ingredient in their dishes. Their diet was balanced and nutritious, providing them the energy needed for their tough daily chores. The social structure of the Vikings was also quite complex. Their society was divided into three main classes: the nobles or jarls, the middle class or carls, and the slaves or thralls. The jarls were the ruling class, often wealthy landowners and warriors. The carls were free peasants who owned farms and land. They were the backbone of Viking society, working as farmers, craftsmen, and traders. The thralls were slaves, captured during raids or born into servitude. Despite these divisions, it's important to note the Vikings believed in fairness and law. They had a system of laws and held regular assemblies or things where disputes were settled and decisions made. Women also had fairly high status in Viking society, with rights to divorce, own property, and inherit wealth. Another intriguing aspect of Viking social structure was their belief in honor. Honor was paramount to a Viking. They believed their deeds and actions in life would impact their afterlife in Valhalla, the Hall of the Slain, where they would feast and fight forever. Viking life was not just about raids and warfare. They had a thriving trade network, were skilled craftsmen, and had a rich tradition of storytelling and poetry. Their sagas, myths, and rune stones still enchant us, providing a window into their worldview and beliefs. In conclusion, Viking culture was a fascinating blend of toughness and finesse. Their daily life revolved around survival, but they also found time to celebrate, to create, and to dream. The Vikings, much like their longships, were designed to not just endure, but to explore and conquer. So, the next time you think of Vikings, remember they were not just fearsome warriors, but also farmers, traders, poets, and explorers. They were a people who believed in honor, justice, and the pursuit of knowledge. Their culture and way of life continue to captivate us, centuries after their longships have ceased to sail.